Bill, they've turned the S-400 missile system on. This is an incredibly sophisticated radar system. How big a line has been crossed here in Turkey? This is something the United States has warned them against.
Right. It's definitely gone past a pretty significant threshold. The S-400 is a Russian missile defense system. Turkey is still a NATO member. And the U.S. and NATO allies have warned that there would likely be additional sanctions on Turkey if they continue to press forward with purchasing and now activating the system. And it looks like they've taken that step.
So, Bill, I mean, Erdogan was just in the U.S. meeting with Trump a couple of weeks ago. There were members of Congress in that meeting. And by all accounts, it didn't appear that it went all that well. So what incentive was there for Erdogan, I guess, to back down on his embrace of this S-400 if he didn't get any assurances from the folks in the U.S. That they would make good on their decision with regards to Patriot missiles and the fighter jets?
Well, it's certainly a risky move by President Erdogan. He may perhaps be betting that the sanctions will be relatively minor or muted, that President Trump won't let any of the harsher sanctions that have been talked about on Capitol Hill go through. We need to see what kind of legislation passes Congress. That will probably happen in the first couple weeks of December. They need to negotiate about exactly, what they're willing to press for. And in the past, though, we have seen similar sanctions efforts pushed by Congress that have gone through with veto-proof majorities. So if Congress can reach agreement on how tough they want to be, there's a precedent for these kind of things getting through despite President Trump's opposition if he decides to go against this move.
In terms of technology sharing, once you've turned it on, is it kind of the situation where you have to keep it? Can they put this thing back in the box and send it back to Moscow?
I think, in theory, that's, I guess, in the realm of possibility. I think President Erdogan has put a lot of political capital into purchasing and deploying this and saying that he's running an independent foreign policy and he's going to do what his country's defense needs. We've already seen them pay a certain price. They've been largely kicked out of the F-35 program. U.S. and NATO don't want F-35 jets flying around Turkey with the S-400 missile system trying to track them. So he's been willing to pay a little bit of a cost. I think if members of Congress have their way, Turkey will pay a far heavier price for going through with this next step.
And so, Bill, I mean, the broader issue, though, here is one also of sort of, I guess, the U.S. presence in the Middle East. We sort of saw the U.S. sort of concede a little bit of that territory on the Syrian border to Turkey and Russia. Is there a real diplomatic effort here or even a military effort here for the U.S. to sort of assert itself more in this region?
Well, we've seen President Trump saying repeatedly he wants to pull forces out of the Middle East. He said he wants to get out of these endless wars. We, do know that Turkey has provided the Incirlik Air Base, which the U.S. military has found extremely useful for fighting Islamic State and keeping an eye on broadly the Middle East. But yes, the core or crux of your point is fair in that, by and large, I think this administration is looking to step back a little bit. And Russia has certainly been more than willing to try to fill that void. They've stepped up their operations in Syria. They have a closer relationship with Iran. And they've definitely built a much tighter relationship with President Erdogan than anything we would have seen even a few years ago.